This Stanley Cup winning goaltender was a character on and off the ice, as well as a fierce competitor who never turned down a fight. For this episode of A Piece of History and the NHL Story of, we focus on the exciting, occasionally controversial, and eventually tragic tale of Ray Emery. Born in Hamilton, Ontario on September 28, 1982, Ray Emery had a fine junior career with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. He led them to the conference finals of the OHL playoffs in his first season with the team in 2000, before being drafted 99th overall by the Ottawa Senators in 2001. Proving why he was drafted in the top 100, Emery was named the OHL and CHL Goaltender of the Year in 2002, behind a 32-17-9 record with 3 shutouts and a 91-9 save average over 58 games. Apart from his goaltending skill, he also showed a knack for fighting throughout his OHL career, as he had 7 fights throughout his 3 seasons of juniors. This of course also earned him his 2 most notable nicknames, which were Razor and Sugar Ray. He was a noted fan of boxing, and he also had several masks throughout his pro career, paying tribute to his favorite boxers. Ray Emery transitioned to the professional ranks in 2002-2003 with the Binghamton Senators, appearing in 50 regular season and 15 playoff games with them in the AHL. That year, he was also an AHL All-Star and led the entire league in shutouts with 7. His fighting tendencies from junior also joined him in the pros, as he fought Denis Hamel and also bumped a referee in his first pro season. Emery's convincing goaltending performances in the AHL also earned him the opportunity to get recalled by Ottawa and to make his NHL debut for the Sens that season. On January 8, 2003, while the Ottawa Senators were facing the Vancouver Canucks, Emery replaced Patrick Lalime for the final 10 minutes of the game after Lalime had allowed 6 goals on 25 shots by that point. Emery stopped all 4 shots that he faced. He appeared in 2 more NHL games that season, with Martin Prusek still holding on to the backup role in Ottawa. Emery appeared in 3 more undefeated games in 03-04, and he was again an AHL All-Star that season. As expected, he also got into 3 more fights that season against Andy Chiodo, Mike Peluso, and Michel Ouellette respectively. He continued to hone his craft in the minor leagues during the 04-05 NHL lockout, and yet again he had 3 more fights, this time against Ari Ahonen, Rob Skurlak, and Josh Gratton. In 2005-2006, Ray Emery began the season as the full-time backup to Dominik Hasek, and continued an interesting streak that he had begun since his NHL debut in 2003. From the time of his debut, it took Ray Emery a total of 14 NHL games before he recorded his first career NHL loss, which came on December 10, 2005. After the Dominator was injured during the Winter Olympics and ruled out for the remainder of the season, the starting spot was now Emery's to lose, and he ran away with it, with former Edmonton Oilers goaltender Mike Morrison being brought in to be his backup. Emery played 39 games that year, recording 23 wins and 3 shutouts as he helped lead Ottawa into the second round of the playoffs. With Dominik Hasek rejoining the Detroit Red Wings that offseason, Emery was given the chance to be the team's starter in 2006-2007. He recorded career highs in games played, victories, and shutouts with 58, 33, and 5 respectively. Of course, Ray Emery also had a pair of fights in a single game that season. More importantly, Ray Emery also led the Sens to the Stanley Cup final for the first time in franchise history. Facing the Ducks, Anaheim was the hungrier team, as they were only 3 NHL seasons removed from their own 7-game defeat against New Jersey in the 2003 Stanley Cup Finals. Backstopped by 2003 Conn Smythe Trophy winner Jean-Sébastien Giguère, and with the greater experience, Anaheim triumphed over Ottawa in 5 games. Nevertheless, Ray Emery proved that he was the real deal and more than capable of being an NHL #1 goalie. After the Stanley Cup final run in 2007, Ray Emery had surgery to his wrist, which was noted as affecting his play early on in the 2007-2008 season. Also overshadowing his goaltending were his behavioral concerns for the Sens that began the previous season. There were multiple occasions in which he missed team practices, an incident during a practice in which he fought his teammate Brian McGrattan, and also an incident where he missed a team flight and caused an automobile accident rushing to the airport. With Martin Gerber given the starting reins throughout 2007-2008, and also having his own best season since 05-06 when he led Carolina into the 2006 playoffs, the Sens had to do something about young Razor, who went from a Stanley Cup finalist and hero to the team to a nuisance to team management. As a result, he was placed on waivers that off-season, and with no takers, Ray Emery took his game to Atlanta Mattisha in the KHL. He had a strong season there, recording a 22-8-0 record with a 2.12 goals against average and a 92.6% save average. Though of course he also earned some infamy for a famous video that showed him posturing aggressively and moving towards a team staff member who was trying to place a cap on him. After that strong season in the KHL, which showed that Ray Emery was most definitely not done, he was given another shot in the NHL when the Philadelphia Flyers signed him. After 21 consistent games with the club, he was injured and had to have surgery on his abdomen. He returned to action in mid-January, recording 2 shutouts over his next 8 games with the squad before an even more significant problem was discovered, which put him out indefinitely for the rest of the season. He was diagnosed with a condition called avascular necrosis in his hip. To summarize, that condition involves a bone or a part of a bone dying because it doesn't get enough blood. Not only was Emery's career now at risk, his future standard of living was even in jeopardy, as complications of that condition could have meant he would never walk the same again. He had a surgery which removed 13 centimeters of his right fibula and then had it grafted to his femur. Against all odds, he recovered and rehabilitated quickly, another sign of his battling spirit. Proving that he was fully rehabilitated and ready to go, he was back in the NHL with the Anaheim Ducks in 2010-11. Emery officially made his NHL return on March 13, 2011, where he stopped all 9 shots that he faced versus the Phoenix Coyotes in relief of Dan Ellis. Emery then went on to win 7 of his next 9 games with the club, even taking the starting position from Dan Ellis in time for the playoffs. The Ducks were defeated in 6 games. His convincing return with Anaheim put him back on the radar, and he was signed by the Chicago Blackhawks in 2011-12. He had 2 amazing seasons behind Corey Crawford as he recorded an astounding 32-10-4 record with 3 shutouts over 55 games played. With Chicago in 2012-13, he and Corey Crawford made his dream of winning the Stanley Cup a reality. With the goaltending duo already winning the William M. Jennings Trophy that season, the Stanley Cup was next as Corey Crawford and the Blackhawks defeated the Boston Bruins in 6 games. After that season, Emery was then re-signed by the Philadelphia Flyers in 2013-14. Though his temper settled down quite notably compared to his earlier seasons, he once again had a goalie fight that year, this time against Braden Holtby. Largely kept in a backup role over 2 seasons, he only recorded 19 wins over 59 games played with the squad. Going into the 2015-16 season, Ray Emery was a free agent. He originally was offered a tryout with the Tampa Bay Lightning, though he was cut from their roster on September 27, 2015. He then played in the AHL with the Ontario Reign and the Toronto Marlies before he headed to Germany to play for Adler Mannheim, before he was then signed by the Philadelphia Flyers for a 3rd stint late that season, never getting into game action. At the conclusion of that season, he officially retired from play. In his NHL career, Ray Emery appeared in 287 regular season games, recording a 145, 86, and 28 record with 16 shutouts, a 2.7 goals against average, and a 90.6% save average. In 39 playoff games, he recorded a 21-17 record with 3 shutouts, a 2.64 goals against average, and a 90.2% save average. tragedy struck Ray Emery in the late night of July 15, 2018. Out boating with friends at Lake Ontario, Emery dove into the water and never resurfaced. He was found later that day, with his death being ruled an accidental drowning. He was only 35 years old. At Heroes of the Crease Goaltending Museum and Memorabilia Limited, our corresponding piece of history serves to immortalize both the life as well as the professional playing career of Ray Emery. This set of Von Velocity goalie pads were used by Razor throughout the 2002-2003 season. He wore these pads with the Binghamton Senators in the AHL, as well as for his National Hockey League debut. They saw NHL action a total of 3 times, never seeing a single NHL loss. These well-worn goalie pads are also definitively photo-matched to several of Ray Emery's 2002-2003 rookie cards. And with paperwork from the Binghamton Senators, this vibrant set of goalie gear highlights the hard work, emotion, and tenacity that Emery brought to his game, even in his earliest years among the pro ranks. These stunning items will forever be a piece of history from the NHL story of Ray Emery.